Okay, apparently we're live. Um, how's this working? Is this mega quiet? Hmm. What I should have done is got somebody to join the chat so that I could see if the microphone was working. Okay. Let's. Well, I didn't. This was probably sensible to. Okay. Well. Oh, I see one viewer. Hey. So, hello, Peter. Can you tell me if you can hear me? Am I mega quiet? This will probably get edited out of the final version that I will try and edit up at some point. Audio is good. Excellent. Right, Peter, we're going to do the Friday show. We're doing it live, which I've never done before. I actually had this idea ages and ages and ages ago that I could start doing the Friday show live. And I just kind of never got round to like organizing and sorting it out. I have the chat open by my side, but I'm probably going to try and do the show live, and then my plan is to do like a Q&A maybe at the end if anyone has questions or things they want to say. Hi, Laura. So that's essentially the idea. I'm going to do the Friday weekly reading recap. We'll do it live because I basically do what Americans call shooting live to tape anyway, so don't edit the shows really at all. And then at the end of this whole shebang, we'll just like have a chill out on a chat. And the chill out on the chat will be like for people who catch it live only. I'll probably edit it out of the final version. So what we're going to do is get started. So, don't know if you can hear that, but that's just for me for later, for syncing up the audio. Hi, hello, I'm Sam Harris, and I read, review, and discuss fantasy and science fiction books. And today, it's the weekly reading recap. So, this one's actually going out live. So, if you're watching live, I just want to say thanks for turning up. Hello, lovely to see you. And if you're watching this later, my plan is to try and like edit this down and to get rid of the live stuff so that it's not annoying for people who missed it live. But what we're going to do today is the same thing we do every single Friday, which is talk about what I have been reading, what I'm going to read. We're going to talk about videos that have gone up on the channel, what's going up next week, and then at the end we'll just kind of go through other random stuff that might be relevant. I've got a beer because it's the evening here in the UK. So let's go straight into things. So this morning on my morning run, I got through to the 70% mark on Mushroom Blues by Adrian Gibson. So last week, I think I was about 15-20%, and it wasn't really grabbing me. I'm now much more invested. So obviously, because I haven't DNF'd it in the week between, I can tell you now I'm much more into the book than I was last week. I do still have quite a few issues with the book, and I think that unless the ending is like absolutely stellar, this is probably going to be a 3-star for me, which I think one of the weaker books I've rated this year. There's a lot of really good and positive points, but one of my biggest negatives reoccurs constantly. So, I mean, I can tell you guys now because, like, the people who watch this stuff will probably also watch the review if you're interested. Essentially, the mushrooms in the mushroom people in Mushroom Blues are basically fungal Japanese people. So, and the world building around them, unfortunately, just kind of ends up being like Japanese stuff with mushroom flavor. And that's, I don't know why, but that's just not been that exciting for me. I feel like there was a real opportunity to build a actual bespoke kind of society and culture and all that sort of stuff for the Fungals. And what's actually happened is um, Adrian Gibson has kind of just gone like, well, they are Japanese in every single way apart from that they're mushrooms. And they're even called Hoponies. And I don't want to use the term unimaginative because there is still a lot of imagination and a lot of creativity here, but I feel like Adrian Gibson kind of took one step, but I wanted him to take three or four in terms of his world building, and the major characters are it's hard to say like cookie cutter, but like if you have seen, for example, I'm trying to think of a good example, like Scandi noir stuff. So if you've seen a lot of Scandi noir, where you have like, oftentimes it's like a grizzled female detective who's kind of down on her luck and has had a pretty rough go of it and is kind of struggling and depressed, and all they have is their job as a police officer. Like that, unfortunately, is kind of the main character. I say unfortunately, that's the main character. This is a really interesting contrast to New York Minute, which I read last year by Stephen Arion. That one relied heavily on detective noir fiction tropes, but I think the issue that I'm having with Mushroom Blues is that it's relying heavily on those tropes, but it's a full novel. Whereas in a novella, if you want to tell, I feel like in a novella you can rely a little bit more on tropes because you can spend more time on the story. And the one of the things with Mushroom Blues is that it's relying heavily on the tropes, but it's not kind of doing anything. I feel like it's not redeeming itself elsewhere in the book. I am really liking the story now, though, and there's a couple of bits that I kind of guessed in advance, and there's a couple of bits that I didn't, which is really good because I'm actually usually quite good at guessing thriller plot points and things like that. The one thing, yeah, so I'm enjoying this a lot more than I was originally. I do kind of find it hard to get into, but like new universes and new books and stuff as well. So I mean that could be a little bit of a part of it. The one other issue is that the main character where I'm at now, I really like her, but at the beginning, it was a bit of a struggle, like a bit of a struggle. She was not particularly likable, and it's really interesting that now I know a bit more about her, and like there were things that you guess very early on about her. So like things that she's done, things that she's feeling guilty for example, and you're like, oh, she's feeling really, really guilty about X, Y, Z, and I think that this is probably the reason, even though it's not revealed. You're like, this is probably the reason that she's feeling guilty or that she's feeling some kind of way. And I remember thinking, like, if this is that, that kind of sucks, and that makes her like kind of an awful character whose head I don't want to be in. And as it's more and more and more revealed, and it's like, oh, it actually was that thing, and it was even worse maybe than you thought it was. Um, the Yeah, it's even worse than I had originally thought it was. The other things around that character have kind of humanized her a bit more. So I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't the same person who did this awful thing. Does that make sense? So where we are currently, yes, really enjoying that. Really enjoying Mushroom Blues. I imagine. I had today off, and I think I listened to a couple of chapters actually on my afternoon walk. But yeah, tomorrow I'll be taking my daughter on a couple of long nap walks so that my wife can do some painting in the bathroom, and not have to wrangle children at the same time. So yeah, I'll be taking Alice out for some walks, and what I'll do is while I'm out for those walks, I will be listening to Mushroom Blues. So I've got like 3 hours of the audio book left. I'd be shocked if I don't finish that tomorrow. But even if I don't finish it tomorrow on those walks, I'll finish it in my evening session of reading. So yeah, really looking forward to finishing that bad boy off and kind of seeing if I'm right on like my final theories of what I think's going on, like the big overarching, final set piece I feel like is coming, and I do have some ideas, and I'm excited to see whether those were correct. So up next, so I had previously planned to read a few different things, and I think that I've landed on finishing up Third Rule of Time Travel, mostly because the audio and the ebook both came up on my holds at the library. So as you guys know, I really like to flip between the three. I really liked where I had got with this one. I'd read the first 30% already. This one was actually really kindly sent to me by Orbit. But so it was great because I could get a new physical book without breaking my book buying ban. But I also wanted the ebook and the audio, and both have come up at the library now. So, and I've accepted the holds. So I've only got, I think I accepted them last week, so I have like 2 weeks to read them. So, kind of got to get on this. But it's quite a short book. It's like 280 pages or something, and I'm already 100 in. So this should be, again, another quick finish. I say again, I don't think I've finished any books quickly this year, but this shouldn't be super long. Straight after that, I think I will probably get on to... I really wanted to get back to The Wandering Inn, but my worry with that is I don't want to fall behind on Wheel of Time for the stuff that I'm doing with Matt. So I do actually think I might end up reading the first Sanderson Wheel of Time book after Third Rule of Time Travel. So especially if I'm able to finish Third Rule of Time Travel quickly. So if, say, for example, I'm able to start Third Rule of Time Travel like Sunday or Monday, then I will go straight on to what's it called? Gathering Storm, maybe? I think it's Gathering Storm. Yeah, Gathering Storm. I'll go straight on to Gathering Storm simply because I do want to have more than a week's worth of window to read that before the review becomes overdue. So, like, it makes a lot of sense for me to go straight from a shorter book, Third Rule of Time Travel, again, which I've already read a third, onto a longer book. So maybe the two combined would hopefully take me 2 weeks, and that means that I won't be too late on that review. So yeah, that's probably going to end up how I end up reading over the next week, maybe 2 weeks. I do actually really quickly read Brandon Sanderson. Like, I read Wind and Truth in 5 days, and it's 1,500 pages. So there is a there's a possibility that these Sanderson Wheel of Time books will allow me to get a bit more headway on my reviews. I don't like to be reading the book that I need to review the following week, if that makes sense. I like to have that buffer, and I had a bit of a buffer earlier in the year, and then multiple books ended up taking me way too long, which was mad. But I think one of the big problems is that books without, so indie books that don't have audio books, do actually really slow down my reading, because I do rely on audio for like half of my reading time. Because, like, say for example, I'm cleaning the kitchen or whatever after dinner, and the kids have gone to bed. The kitchen, have an almost 1-year-old, so she's throwing food constantly. So the kitchen needs to be properly cleaned every night. And the big problem that you have with that is my reading time, because you can't leave the kitchen cleaning until midnight or whatever when you're ready to go to bed. It has to be done as soon as possible. So I end up using that, and then that's time when I'm not tired and my brain isn't too tired to read. So that is fantastic audiobook time. Like I can get, almost an hour of audiobook time along in the evenings with jobs like house jobs and kids jobs, or like waiting for my son to fall asleep and stuff like that. But I can't get the can't do that without an audiobook. I think there's probably only a few authors now. Like in fact, Joe, who is watching live, Joe, I will always read his books as soon as physically possible. But there's probably not that many indie authors that I will be able to fit in unless I get a bigger buffer on my reviews. Hopefully these Sanderson books will help because, as again, I read Sanderson really quickly. And I am looking forward to reading Sanderson's Wheel of Time stuff because I've heard so much about it over the years. And now I've read all of Jordan's stuff and know how incredible he was. And I mean, he really went out on a high with Knife of Dreams, maybe best book in the series. And I'm going to probably do a video at some point nebulously in the future about Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time books and like how I felt about them and all that sort of stuff. But speaking about videos, actually, so let's talk about next week's schedule. So Monday is going to be the Mushroom Blues review. So if you are interested in hearing me expand on the thoughts that I talked about earlier, and also you are interested in just kind of seeing overall what I think of the book and how it ends, because I will be finishing it over the weekend, and maybe the ending will push the score up or maybe even down, God knows. I'd be surprised if it went down because people do like this book. It's come second in SPFBO, and I think it was like down to the wire, like it was a tie with the winning book, and that there ended up being a tiebreaker of like which book had the most people choose it as their personal favorite. I think that's what ended up tipping the scale. I'm interested in reading the winner of SPFBO. I'll probably look to do that later this year. Although I'm reading Mushroom Blues. I'm reading it and going like, this is great. But the two books that I put forward that I would have put forward that I truly loved, so Soul Stealer by Elle McInerney, which I genuinely thought had a chance to win the whole thing, and Surviving Westcliff by Thomas Perkins. I do think both of those were better than what I've currently read of Mushroom Blues. So sad that they didn't get their time in the sun, although I don't know whether I think that, yeah, I don't know how those authors would have felt about going all the way in that competition because it can be quite overwhelming. I know that Elle had said to me that she was like, I'm not 100% sure if I want to go all the way in this, it could have been quite anxiety inducing, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I do actually have the second book in her series to read, and I really need to get to that one. I'm really looking forward to that, actually. Maybe I'll read it in September. We'll do Self-Pub September again. Although how I'm going to do that without books that have audiobooks, I have no idea. That's not a current day problem for me. That's Future Sam's problem. So on Wednesday, I will be doing... you'll be able to watch my full spoiler discussion with Matt from Basking the Story about Knife of Dreams. So this will be our final Jordan book. Again, absolutely full spoilers for every Wheel of Time book, 1 through 11. So if you haven't read all those books, then unfortunately, please do stay away. But you should also read those books because they are genuinely fantastic, like the best of the best in fantasy. I'm really struggling to think of a series that I think is better from what I've read. I mean, like, there's a few that I like more, but I do think that Wheel of Time is probably like, is Wheel of Time better? Like, I think that the Song of Ice and Fire series is good, but drops off. And obviously it's not finished. Greenbone Saga, I love. I think it's better than Greenbone. Yeah, it's just fantastic. I just highly recommend it. And I do also recommend the Rosamund Pike narration for the first few books if you can, because she's excellent at it. Um, and then I just saw. I'm trying to ignore the live chat because I want to make this good for people who watch it later. But I did see someone ask about Malazan. Oh, it's Joe. He's saying read Malazan. We are reading Malazan as soon as we finish Wheel of Time, Joe. So we have 3 Wheel of Time books left. So one in May, one in June, one in July. So August, I think we will be starting Malazan. Maybe it'll end up getting pushed, but we will be doing it this year. That's a definitive 100%. That's happening. It depends on whether Matt wants to go straight from Wheel of Time to Malazan. I personally would like to, but if Matt wants a break from doing the spoiler chats or from reading the same series every month, if he does want a break from that, then I might go and read another series and then we'll come back together. So maybe I will read Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, or I'll finish Live Ship Traders, of which I have a book and a half-ish left to finish. So it'll all depend on what Matt wants to do, really. I'm up for anything, realistically, but we will start Malazan this year. It's just when this year we'll start it. Hopefully that makes sense. I might take a break in September as well, so I can just read self-pub stuff. But again, it will all depend. I did get sent an arc for Ruined, which is Thomas Perkins, who wrote Surviving Westcliff. He has written a new novel that he's going to be entering in the next SPFVO as well. Good luck to him. It's called The Ruined. I think it may already be available, or it's going to be available soon on Kindle Unlimited and stuff. But I have an early copy, and I am planning on reading that as well in September, I expect. Is it bad if all of my self-pub September reads are just going back to my friends who I've interviewed and reading their books? No, I don't think so. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of the plan for the ongoing stuff on the channel. I did TBRs for a couple of months, and both times I was like, this ain't going to happen by the end of the month. So I'm kind of just stopping doing them forever now. Maybe in a far gone future, when I am more organized and I have more free time, because I don't have a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old. I have older children, I expect at that point. Maybe I will do TBRs again. But for the time being, my whims and reading time are just not predictable enough, honestly. Moving on to other stuff. So I saw Thunderbolts last week. So I had recorded last week's Friday video before I'd seen the movie, but I have now seen the movie, and I'm here to tell you that it is excellent. So if you have been kind of a bit jaded and a bit out on Marvel stuff, then this is probably the closest thing we would have to like a postmodern original Avengers movie. So if you think back to that original Avengers movie, and you think about kind of everything that gave us. So it gave us the kind of building of the team, it gave us that the kind of big climactic battles and stuff. This is kind of a twist on that. So there's a lot of references to that original movie in here. And there's like an elevator shot, there's stuff happening in New York, there's teams coming together, there's a big villain, and but the way that it all goes down and the way that it's all handled, I don't want to say postmodern, because I'm not 100% sure that I'm using the term correctly, but it feels like revisiting that kind of 2012 Avengers movie and going like, well, with the state of the world as it is now, this kind of original Avengers might not happen. Let's talk about this, how it's going to happen with these kind of this group of like very damaged people who've had terrible lives. And I did genuinely really like that. I think that's really well done. So if you have not seen it, you should definitely go out and see it. And, you know, if you hate the MCU, this isn't going to like change that opinion. But if you're one of those people who've been kind of like, oh, I'm just kind of, you know, it's been a bit much, and I'm a bit out, and I'm not that bothered or interested, like, this definitely is the movie to maybe like give it a try when it hits Disney Plus. I know that I would have been sad to have missed this in the cinema if I had just waited for Disney Plus or whatever. But I can also tell you that I will be watching this movie. I'm going to try and watch it again in the cinema, and I'm also gonna just like watch this movie loads of times because it's been great. Um, the what was the next thing that we needed to discuss? I think that might be everything that I need to discuss. I think that's the Friday show done. So the stream is not going to end, but I'm going to cap off the video that will eventually become a real video on the channel. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you haven't liked it. Pop a comment down below to let me know what you've been reading, watching, playing, etc. And we can have some chats down there about what you've been up to. And of course, subscribe if you haven't. I'll speak to you on Monday. Live viewers, let's keep going. So I'm going to pull the iPad over, which has got the live chat on, and I'm going to sit here and drink this beer and answer some questions and just read and chat with you guys in the chat. So let's see what we've got. Right. Okay. Laura has said, would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck? The horse-sized duck is an obvious no. Is anyone out here going like, oh yeah, the horse-sized duck, I could take him? Like, the duck-sized horses, like, think about like, what's the worst a horse can do to you, right? Like a bite, I guess, at that size. Like, spindly legs, no, easy. The horse, like the horse mouth, what's it going to open like this? Nah, that ain't troubling me. 100 duck-sized horses, 100%, not even a question. Also, happy birthday. Thank you very much. It is currently, for the next 3.5 hours, my birthday. I'm too old. You shouldn't ask a lady her age. Next up, Bailey Books and Sport. Hello, Bailey. Thank you very much for watching along with us. What is your favorite beer? Okay, this is actually so I really enjoy craft beer, and I have done for many, many years. In the last year or so, maybe more than that actually, in the last couple of years, I've been really getting into my stouts. So I did a whole video last year doing for St. Patrick's Day. I did a Guinness book tag, which was dumb, but I just kind of wanted to do it. And while I would not maybe say that Guinness is my favorite beer, the problem is, right, my actual favorite beer is probably one of a few different things. So Blue Moon is probably the most easily available beer that I truly, truly love. At my wedding, the wedding venue was like, we can get most beers in, most alcohols. What's your favorite beer? We'll get a crate of it in. And I got Blue Moon, and the entire crate got drunk. What was I going to say? If we were going about some like slightly weirder beers, I think it's Northern Rock or Vocation, maybe. They do a beer, and this is a British craft beer brand. They do a beer which is called the Tonka Frappe Latte, which is just a espresso latte stout. It's really, really delicious. I love stout beers. It's really creamy. It's got a really strong coffee flavor. So if you like coffee and you like strong stouts, much stronger than a Guinness, like a real stout, then you'd probably love it. And then what else was I thinking about? Other beers that I love. Okay, I'm drinking a Club Tropicana right now, which was a birthday present. So enjoying this. I got 4 of these for my birthday. I got like a little 4-pack from my in-laws. They know I love craft beer, and this is a genuinely great craft beer. Big fan. They also got me a Jamaican Dragon Stout, which I've never tried before. I'm really excited to try. And then what else? Yeah, so those are probably the two weird beers that I really enjoy. I also, if you can find yourself, like if you go out and you find, so there's a lot of craft beer available in the UK, and there'll be a lot of craft beers that are like, well, this is a chocolate brownie stout, and it's, like 9% or something. I genuinely love those. I love a strong beer. I love a stout. I love something a bit interesting. I used to go to I used to go to, before my second child was born, I used to go to the Bristol Craft Beer Festival because I live near Bristol. I grew up there, but live near there now. I moved away. But I used to go to the Bristol Craft Beer Festival, and I absolutely loved it. You'd go and you would try like 30 beers in a night. I've gone like 3 or 4 times now and just had a great time every time. It's actually going on like this weekend, I think, or real soon. They keep sending me emails about it. But I can't go this year because we've got a 1-year-old. But next year I will probably go. That's enough about beer. So let's look at the next questions. So, Joe, hi Sam. The next Hybrid Helix is coming at the end of June. Well, everybody, that tells you that you have until the end of June to catch up on the series. I want to say this is like book 7, I think. Joe's writing like 2 books a year right now, and they're all great fun. If you like Invincible on Amazon Prime, big recommendation for the Hybrid Helix. That's probably like the closest inspiration point for me. It's like it's a superhero story, but it's much more sci-fi than something like than like Superman or whatever. It's very much like there's an ancient space empire and there's living ships and things have this like karmic energy and things like that. Really good. Really excited where the series is going as well, because it kind of starts off in like this story is kind of taking place on this space station, and there's something weird about the space station, but don't worry about it. And then like you're learning more and more and more about the universe, and you're seeing like these bigger threats. And like I really like the way that it's kind of expanding and growing and pacing. Great stuff. If you haven't read it, you should. Who's up next? Joe left multiple comments. He said, read Malazan. Yes, we are reading Malazan. We're starting this year, guaranteed 100% is happening this year. Looking forward to Thunderbolts, but I might wait to stream it. I think it's worthy of a cinema trip, specifically for things like Florence Pugh's big jumping stunt, and a lot of the New York big set pieces. And I think that visually, the director and the cinematographer, so it's the same cinematographer who did The Green Knight, and they've like really tried to inject a bit of flavor and a bit of style into Thunderbolts. So I do think it's worth watching at the cinema. Drinking a very strong old fashioned. I've got a Club Tropicana. Club is I think it's the way that Welsh people say club. Tiny Rebel is a Welsh beer brand. They have a brewery in Cardiff that's genuinely great. Been there tons of times, and they have really good vegan cauliflower wings, which I'm a big fan of. I'm not vegan, but I mostly eat plant-based. Where are we going? We're going. Kevin, keep doing what you're doing. You'll hit 10k subscribers in no time. That would be great. My goal for the channel, it's really funny. I always said maybe I'll hit 1,000 subscribers in like 3 years of running the channel. This August will be year 3. Is it the end of year 2 or the end of year 3? At the start I think it's 3 years. No, 2 years. 2 years, because I started in 2022. Don't know what I'm talking about. So I start 2022, 2023. I started in August 23. So this year will be year 2. And I commented on one of Mike's book reviews videos when he hit a big milestone, because it was quite funny because he posted that he'd hit a big milestone and my subscribers were exactly like to the number 10% of what his were. And I made a joke like, I've only got 10% of the subscribers that you've got. And he commented on it and said, I wouldn't worry about it. I didn't hit 2,000 subs until I've been doing it for 2 years. So I'm going to have been doing it for 2 years in August. I won't hit 2,000 subs by then because I'm not even at 1,500 yet, and that's 3 months' time. I usually gain about 50 to 80 a month. But I would like to hit 2,000 by the end of the year. That would be really nice. My original goal for the channel, like I said, was 3 years to monetization, and we managed it in 1 year, 1 month. So yeah, really proud of this, the community, of everything that we've done to grow the channel. Love all the friends that I've made here. Every time I'm like, oh, there's so much work to this booktube, making the videos and setting aside time to read stuff and planning stuff out. And then I'm like, but I've made all these amazing friends, and I love all my subscribers and the community guys, and all the people who pop up on every video. I do notice, I do see your comments. So yeah, we don't need to continue to talk about YouTube. We can just go back to the comments and ask more questions. So, Chilled Wind, lol, hi, hello, Chilled Wind. Ross, sounds like hubris. Whatever that was in relation to, it probably was hubris. I consider myself to be filled with hubris. Happy birthday, Sam. Thank you, Andrew. One of my earliest supporters. Big fan of Andrew's channel, Andrew Watson. If you have not checked his channel out, I don't know why you'd be watching my stuff but haven't seen his. He's much bigger, and I often think of him as like the Matt Diavella of BookTube, because his videos are like all really well color graded and really well edited and stuff. And that, like, his day job is like he's an editor, but like he's really good at that. He should start doing like the BookTube editors course or something. Like, put it all on, like, sell your course online, do an Ali Abdaal, make a ton of money. I'm sure people would pay. Chilled Wind, happy 21st birthday. Thank you. I certainly, don't look a day over 21 centuries. Have I reminded you that you're old lately? No, you haven't, Laura, which I think is a failing on your part. Age is the joint of the beholder. not sure about that one. What is your favorite bookshop? From Laura. So there's a Waterstones in Western Supermare. No, my favorite bookshop is Station Books, obviously, because it's like the only bookshop I've been in in the last few months, because I've got the book buying ban on. I have actually, no, that is a lie. I have browsed in a couple of bookshops, but I want you guys to be extremely proud of me. I legitimately have not bought one ebook this year, and last year I think I bought over 100. Because every time the Amazon Kindle Daily Deal came in and it was a book I was even vaguely interested in, I would buy it. And like, when they refreshed the deals at the beginning of the month, I would always like be checking the threads and be like, okay, I'm going to buy 17 books. And when you're reading like 4 books a month, buying 17 books is not super sensible budgetarily. As a Belgian, a donkey latte frappe beer sounds like blasphemy. It probably is blasphemy, I'll be honest with you, Kevin. But I think that one of the most interesting things that you can do is experiment with foods and drinks and beers and stuff. Like, I grew up really close to this pizza place. I say grew up near to. When I was in my early 20s, which I was totally a couple of years ago, I used to live very close to a pizza place, which has since become a chain, called 0 Degrees. They also brew their own beer. Fantastic place. And they used to do this pizza that I loved, that was pears, walnuts, and gorgonzola. And it was absolutely fantastic. Like, stewed pears, like one of the best pizzas I've ever had in my entire life. They still do it. It's still incredible. If you ever go to a 0 Degrees, have that pizza. Also, the hoisin duck one is meant to be good, but I've not eaten meat since the 90s, so I can't tell you whether it's any good from personal opinion. But yeah, the pear, gorgonzola, walnut pizza, incredible. So yeah, if you're not experimenting with your foods and drinks, then what's the point in living? Let's look down. So, big fan of anything Black Sheep Brewery brings out. I have tried a couple of Black Sheep Brewery beers, and they are good. I will say that. We've got a local craft beer place. So there's two near me. So there's one called Quantock Brewery, which is near where I got married, and then there is one in Weston-super-Mare called Fathead Brewery, and they have a tap room, and it's fantastic. I'm planning on going there at some point soon to pick up a few of their new beers. Yeah, Black Sheep Brewing is pretty good. I don't know whether are they based in Wales as well. I feel like maybe they are. I could be wrong. Um, I'm near to, I said before, near to Bristol, and Bristol has a really big craft beer scene. There's basically like a street that is just all craft beer places. I I loved going there. I love going there. I had my 30th birthday there, which I'm not 30 yet, obviously. Um, I had my 30th birthday party there and had a great time. Yeah, so I'm big on craft beer simply because I've been around it for years and years and years. Next, book 7 is the next one. So yeah, book 7 is next. Chilled Wind, Wandering in May. I genuinely, I've been talking about this, and I think I talked about this a little bit earlier. I do really want to make some more progress on Wandering In. I still have the goal of reading 3 of the ebook volumes in 2025. I've all literally like I knew I wanted to do that in 2025. So before the book buying ban started in 2024, I went and bought all the ebooks and all the audiobooks. So they will get read. I am still planning to do it this year. Maybe if Matt wants to take a break on between Wheel of Time and Malazan, maybe that'll be what I choose to do, to be honest. Although I'm sure that Laura and Matt will shout at me and say read either Hob or Carry On with Abercrombie. And both of so Live Ship Traders and First Law, I've read book 1 and haven't gone any further yet. I will do. I will read both. I have hopefully many, many more years of reading left in my life. Okay, where are we at? Just excited for the new chapter since Pirate Arbor has been on break for a month. It's mad how Pirate Arbor writes The Wandering In. If you guys don't know this, so Pirate Arbor writes a chapter a week that goes on the website. I think at some points it's been 2 chapters. And you think like, oh, a chapter a week, that's kind of doable. But their chapters are like longer than novels. Like a lot of their chapters are like 60, 70,000 words. And they also write them live on Twitch, which is insane. Really looking forward to reading more of the series. I'd like to see kind of how they evolve as a writer, because I've already seen a little bit of it because I read the rewrite of volume 1 and I'm now reading the original for volume 2, and you can see that the original version has a much lower quality of prose and writing. I'm still liking it, but I think with volume 2 I really needed to binge read it. I stopped at the exact halfway point of the book, so I'll be going back and reading the second half soon. Next, I've already missed some. Let me get the mouse in here. Are you still enjoying the Palmer 2 from Don? I actually only have the Palmer 1, not the Palmer 2. I looked at the Palmer 2 and the Palmer 1, and there was like a £50-ish difference. And when I watched a ton of reviews, everyone was basically saying the difference between the 1 and the 2 is the fingerprint reader. And I'll be honest with you, I don't need a fingerprint reader on my e-reader. I know that it is more secure if you want to have like payment details on your Play Store, your Google account. But any time that anyone wants to make a payment on my Google account, they need to input my password. And I will be honest with you, even I don't know my password. I have to look it up every time in my secure passwords app. So I feel like my Palmer is secure enough. Also, it basically never leaves my side. It's not something that I like leave hanging around. Do you know what I mean? So I think I'm fine. Really, really loving the Palmer. This, despite having the higher spec books Go Color 7, which I was reading on this morning, which is why they're both out. Despite having the much higher spec, much fancier, much more premium Go Color 7, I picked this up 9 times out of 10, which is insane. This is the cheapest of all three e-readers that I own, and this is the one that I'm always picking up. And I think that part of it is because obviously we're very used to like scrolling on our phones, picking up our phones, blah blah blah. And this is phone shaped. This is the almost exactly the same size as my iPhone. However, the big thing about this that I really really like is just it's got the page turn button. Like the volume buttons can be used as page turn buttons. So I just kind of lie, I just lie on this sofa and like just click through a few pages, and it's just a really chill reading experience. Also, the screen is really crisp because of the color interpretation layer on the Go Color 7. The screen is not as crisp. So think of that what you will. But I do, despite this being the cheapest of all three e-readers that I purchased, like I paid the less. I think these are similar priced new, but despite this being the cheapest one of which I paid for, this is the one that I use the most. And I actually, a lot of the time, will just throw it into my pocket when I'm going to get a coffee or anything like that. And I'm trying to take it with me more often. I'm not leaving my phone behind yet. Maybe if I get the 4G connection set up on my watch, if I can get a good deal on the price for that, then I will start using this and for like, texts and calls and listening to music. And I can just take the Palmer with me when I go for like a short walk or something like that. Next up, Andrew, Joe and Andrew talking about how they're all too old, too young to make jokes about joints. Interestingly, joint and back pain don't really have much of that. I'll be honest with you guys. Despite working a desk job and despite having a baby that I'm constantly picking up and putting down, I feel like I just looked after my body in earlier life and used to do strength training, and I'm now back on my running. So maybe that's why I don't feel as old as I actually am. Apparently, reading Into the Rift cures all back ailments, which is funny because I think, no, wait, Andrew hasn't read Into the Rift, has he? He's read Flames of Mirror, but he hasn't read Into the Rift. Flames of Mirror, I don't own a copy of that. I think I have an ebook copy, not an app. I don't own a physical copy of that. But it's on my list because Andrew and Tim rave about it. They think it's great. So I should read it eventually. Kevin, what is your favorite non-fiction book? Okay, so my favorite non-fiction. So for non-fiction, despite not being a big sport person, I really enjoy books about sporting achievement. I think that my favorite one, weirdly, so I really like. I've run an ultra marathon in the past. You wouldn't know that by looking at my physique, but I have. And I really like books about ultramarathon runners and ultramarathons. And probably my favorite one, weirdly, is about triathlon, which I can't do a triathlon because I can't ride a bike. Maybe one day I'll learn, but is about triathlons, and it's called Finding Ultra by Rich Roll. Rich Roll is a really, really good podcaster. He recently did one with Tom Holland that everybody loved. But yeah, so Rich Roll, really inspirational and interesting guy. So he used to be like a Hollywood lawyer, and he would like do court cases and stuff for celebrities. And he one day he like got out of breath whilst going upstairs, and he was like, "No, this isn't this isn't what my life should be. I shouldn't be this unfit at this age. And he was like in his late 30s, early 40s. And he said he had like flashbacks of not being not flashbacks, like flashes and like fears of not being able to walk his daughter down the aisle. And I vibe with that, having 2 kids and having had kids older than some of my friends. I definitely do have that, like, oh crap, I'm going to be 60 when my daughter is like graduating university, that sort of stuff. So there's a part of me that's like, I would like to stay healthier for longer, etc., etc. So yeah, Rich Roll was a big inspiration for me personally. Not been as interested in the actual sport, but the book I really, really liked. And he has a lot of the like fitness influencer guru type guys end up being kind of right wing, which isn't really my vibe. So I like him as well because he's like vegan and he's a bit of a hippie and things like that. Like, big fan. Moving swiftly on, shameless self-promotion. Yes, I will shamelessly self-promote my YouTube channel. Big fan. Was the internet invented in time for your 30th? Yes. So, I think I had the internet in the 90s, like dial-up. I think I had dial-up in the 90s, or maybe it was the year 2000 that we got the internet at home. But I will tell you something that does date me a little bit, which is that we didn't get we had dial-up internet until I went to university. And when I came back from university, I said to my parents, I was like, no, I need the internet. We need to get real internet. So that will date me there, I guess. There's another thing that dates me technology-wise. So as an adult, I queued up to buy an Xbox 360 the day they came out. And I was not like I was like in my 2nd year of uni. So if that tells you anything. Okay. Reading is a problem. Yes, reading is great. Big fan. Everyone is saying Hob here. There's a lot of Hob chat. I do think Robin Hobb is fantastic. I really liked the Farseer trilogy, and then I loved Ship of Magic. But what I did with Hob, which was dumb, and this was pre-BookTube, I wouldn't do this now. I think that if I had started Hob as a booktuber, I probably would have read more of it by now, more of the Realm of the Elderlings. But I read 4 books in a row. So I read all the Farseer trilogy, and then I just went straight to Ship of Magic. And then I was on holiday, and I had Ship of Magic, and I was very close to the end. So I brought Mad Ship with me on this holiday, and I ended up being on a holiday and like I read the first part. So like Mad Ship's like, I think it's split into 5 parts, and I read the first part. I got to the first interlude, and was like, I'll be honest with you, I don't want to read any more Robin Hobb right now, and I've never gone back to that book. I will probably restart Mad Ship when I get back to it, because I'm like 100 and so pages in. Don, you grabbed the 2 more comfortable Android. Yeah, finding it more sensible for public transport, flying, trains, etc. Like, absolutely. The smaller the e-reader, like the more convenient the e-reader, the more likely I am to use it. Definitely a public transport machine. Big fan of it for that. Yeah, that is the other difference, isn't it, with the 2 to the 1 is the more current version of Android. But when I looked it up, my Go Color 7 is the same version of Android, and I was like, I would quite like there to be parity between my 2 devices, so I don't have like different capabilities on each one, if that makes sense, aside from the color, obviously. Next questions. Laura, please tell Barry and Gus that I love them. I will do that as soon as this video is over. But you can see the wallpapers that I've chosen for my devices.